Does PREVENT target Muslims? Since 2000, the government has introduced a whole host of counter-terrorism legislation, but the big question remains, has this actually made our country safer or not? And we at MEND are particularly concerned that some of this legislation unfairly affects and targets Muslims. We are particularly concerned about two things. Firstly, how the PREVENT strategy can sometimes confuse between being religious and being a potential terrorist. And secondly, how people who look like me are stopped at ports and airports under the Terrorism Act without any reason. PREVENT is part of the government's counter-terrorism strategy. It is aimed at preventing future acts of terrorism and protecting the public. Now, we at MEND completely believe in that idea as well, but we think that there are much better ways of doing that than PREVENT. So what's wrong with PREVENT? So the first thing is it could be seen as Islamophobic. If you're a Muslim, you're 40 times more likely to be referred than if you're not Muslim. Is that fair? Secondly, it doesn't really work. Only 5% of those referred in a year actually needed the specialist counselling under the Channel programme. That means 95% of those referred didn't need to be. And the 5% who were, we don't know if they came out of the programme less dangerous or more dangerous. Thirdly, it targets children. Most of the referrals come from the education sector, and there have been some bizarre cases. A 14-year-old boy was referred for raising money for a Palestinian charity, and a nursery school child was referred for mispronouncing cucumber as kukabom. Fourthly, it isn't based on any credible peer-reviewed research, and yet public sector workers are legally required to implement it. And when asked about this, the then Security Minister Ben Wallace said his evidence base was, "I do believe it is working." Seriously? That's your evidence base? So we believe we can do much better than this, and that PREVENT should be scrapped. And we welcome the independent review of PREVENT as a step towards this. And look, we're not alone. There's a whole host of credible organisations who've also criticised PREVENT. And that includes the United Nations, the Royal College of Psychiatrists, the National Education Union, and countless academics. Have you ever been stopped and questioned at an airport? Schedule 7 of the Terrorism Act gives powers to stop and question people without reasonable suspicion. That means that you could be stopped without having done anything wrong. You could be hauled away by the police in front of your kids and made to miss your flight without any fault of your own. That's why Liberty, the human rights organisation, said that Schedule 7 is ripe for misuse and discrimination. Indeed, the Equality and Human Rights Commission found that if you are Asian or an ethnic minority, you are 11 times more likely to be stopped and questioned. And if you're a British Pakistani male like me, then you're 52 times more likely to be stopped and 154 times more likely to be detained. Now, of course, there needs to be questioning at airports, but it needs to be intelligence-led and with more focused questioning. Indeed, the government's own independent review of terrorism made similar conclusions, but they are yet to be implemented. And there also needs to be more training for officers. Indeed, MEND undertook some of this training, but a lot more of this needs to be done. And the worrying thing is that PREVENT and Schedule 7 are just two of the counter-terrorism laws introduced since 2000, all of which need to be urgently reviewed. Find out more at our dedicated election website, Get Out and Vote, where you can find out our manifesto with all the policy pledges and which of the parties have signed up to which, and more information about your local candidates. Visit www.mend.org.uk/Get Out and Vote. Vote smart, think MEND.